what the Scout motto is? Be prepared. Oh, you guys are so good. Yes. So be prepared, like Russell in this clip.
What's wrong, Mr. Fredrickson?
Oh, nothing, Russell. Scraped my knuckle.
Uh-oh, that looks like a snake bite.
Whoa, it's tiny. Only needs a small bandage.
I have those. To apply bandage, remove adhesive backing and apply over a wound area. Okay.
Better hurry, Russell. Time is healing this wound.
I'm blind!
Oh, hold still. On 3. 1, 2.
Like I said, physically strong, mentally awake. In our lesson today, Jesus lifts up people who are prepared to make God's kingdom known on earth as it is in heaven. We're continuing the sermon series about God's applause. That is, the people that God lifts up and celebrates. These are the people that Jesus talks about in his Sermon on the Mount, specifically the Beatitudes. 8 people who go against society's norm in order to do what is morally right. That is, taking on judgment, exclusion, even pain. But as they do, Jesus says God is blessing them, encouraging them in their heavenly work. Today we look at the merciful and the pure in heart. So we begin with the merciful. Now, merciful in this text actually is the Hebrew word hesed. So it's pronounced hesed, it's spelled with the S or CH, and it's listed actually more than 150 times in the Old Testament alone. And so you actually heard, we read earlier, Psalm 86:15 mentions that hesed, that mercy. So does Deuteronomy 4:31, for the Lord your God is a merciful God. Lamentations 3:22, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases, his mercies never come to an end. Hesed is a characteristic of God. But we know that God's mercy is also in action. I mean, it is God's mercy that God heard the cries of the enslaved Israelites and so set them free from Egypt. The same when they were being exiled to Babylon, he brought them back home. So since mercy is a characteristic of God and an action proving God is with us, God wishes mercy to be part of who we are as well. In fact, in Micah 6, we read this, and what does the Lord require of you? But to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Jesus affirms this teaching with the story of the parable of the Good Samaritan. Do you remember this? This is the story where Jesus talks about how a person was walking along the road. They get beat up and left on the road, hurt and abandoned. And a priest and a Pharisee, 2 people who are connected to the religious faith, walk by, actually cross the road to be across from that person. They don't want to stop and help them. But here comes this Pharisee, and the Pharisee picks him up and takes him and drops him off at a place where he will be cared for and healed. Now, what was really powerful about this story that Jesus gives is the Samaritans were not exactly favorite people of the Hebrews. They had had a discrepancy years prior, and they sort of had it out with one another. In fact, they would avoid each other. But Jesus makes the Samaritan the hero because Jesus is saying that mercy is hesed in action. And that occurs when kindness and assistance is given regardless of religion, race, gender. If there's a need, we help. Scholar William Barclay writes this: the merciful are those who bear towards others that outgoing love which reflects and reproduces the outgoing love of God. To be merciful is to have the same attitude to all as God has, to think, feel, and act towards others as God does. Mercy is not a thought, it's a way. It's not an emotion, but it's also an action. Mercy is to identify oneself with the mind, heart, and life of another and do unto them as you would want them to do unto you. When a scout is helpful and courteous and kind, they are merciful. And when Jesus says they shall obtain mercy, he's saying that the mercy they give is the mercy they receive from God, whose mercies never end. Now, going on to the next one. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Now, to understand this teaching, we need to know that the ancient world, they viewed purity in two different ways. One was purity is a matter of ritual observances. So that whole idea is when Moses was leading the Israelites through the wilderness, God gave these commands and said, in order to be pure, in order for our people to follow what I want you to do, this is what you need to do, all right? So that was what you could eat, what you couldn't eat, what you could wear, what you couldn't wear. It's a long list. I was talking to a young adult who's reading the Bible straight through, began in January, and I said, when you get to Leviticus, come see me. Because a lot of people will actually stop at that point because those laws just sort of drone on, you know? So that is one way of viewing purity. And even in Jesus' day, those were still part of what they were living out. But the other view of purity, the view that Jesus is talking about here, is actually the state of mind and heart. And that is to open oneself up to the experience of God's love and grace when interacting with other people. That is to actually see the face of God in the other person. My favorite illustration of that is the story of Jacob and Esau. Now, if you don't know their story, it's in Genesis. They are the twin sons of Isaac. And at one point, Isaac is going to actually give his blessing to either Esau or Jacob, which meant that they would then receive the land and the wealth that he had to pass on. And so originally, Isaac was planning to give it to Esau, but Esau and his mother, or Jacob and his mother, find out about this. And so they decide to trick Isaac. And so again, remember, they're twins. Jacob goes in and he receives the blessing. Esau finds out about it. He's so angry that he's saying he would murder his brother if he saw him. Jacob takes off for years. God has a funny way of calling us back to our mistakes to get them right. God calls Jacob and said, I'm sending you back there in order for you to be the father of my nation, because Jacob's name will be made Israel. You need to make things right with your brother. So he goes back. He's not happy about this. He's actually pretty scared, Jacob is. So he sends herds and flocks as sort of a peace offering to Esau. And as he's getting closer and closer to traveling to meet Esau, because Esau hears he's coming, he's decided he's going to meet him, we read these words. Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him and wept. Not exactly what Jacob was expecting. Then Esau looked up and asked, what's the meaning of all these flocks and herds I met? Jacob says, to find favor in your eyes, my lord. But Esau said, I already have plenty. My brother, keep what you have for yourself. No, please, said Jacob. If I have found favor in your eyes, accept this gift from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God. Now that you have received me favorably. Isn't that beautiful? A person that Jacob thought for sure hated him. I mean, he was going to hurt him. He was scared of him. And what happens? He is embraced by that man. He is loved by him. Jacob realizes that Esau had moved on from their discretion and did not see him as an enemy, but saw him as a brother. Mother Teresa once said this, keep your heart pure. A pure heart is necessary to see God in each other. If you see God in each other, there is love for one another, and then there is peace. Words we could all live by. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. is to keep one's heart filled with God's peace, God's love, God's grace. For to love as God loves is to see God in everyone, our enemies, our friends, the abandoned, the cherished, the sick, the dying, and be blessed. Going back to Scouts, for any of you who participated in the Scouting program, you will know that to earn a badge, that's just awesome, right? Because earning badges is not easy. In fact, if you do see the movie Up, Russell talks about how he earns them and what he's gone through. It's not exactly easy. Well, last year, I'm glad to announce that we started a tradition where we would provide Scout Sunday badges to the Scouts for being here. And so this is this year's patch, and I have them for you to give to you after the service. And I want to share, though, what they wrote as far as the description of this patch because of all the symbolism. It says, the dove reminds us that God's Spirit goes with the Scouts. The sunrise shows God gives us new chances every day. The mountains remind us that faith helps us to do hard things. And the Scout symbol shows we live out our faith by helping others. In essence, the 2026 patch shows God encouraging the Scouts into a new day prepared with faith, service, and hope. Just like Jesus says in the Beatitudes that we are to be providing as well. Faith, service, and hope to all people. Therefore, I found this litany of faithful practice through the Scout law. Now, I will warn you, I don't do the whole law because it's really long, right? So there's just some parts of it. And so I'm going to read one part and you will read the bold print with me, okay? When facing deceit and dishonesty, let us be trustworthy. If we see hypocrisy and faithlessness, let us be loyal. Where disregard for others and mere materialism prevail, let us be helpful. Where others turn a cold shoulder, let us be friendly. In an atmosphere of ill manner, let us be courteous. Where some use brutality and crudeness, let us be kind. When confronted with danger and temptation, let us be brave. And while witnessing impiety and hostility to religion, let us remember to be reverent. And as we do, may we know that we receive the applause of God.